Hi, and welcome to Plimsoll's latest webinar. Today we're going to be looking at how owners and directors can protect the value of their businesses, irrespective of what's going on in the world around us, and let's face it, there's an awful lot. As we navigate through 2023, and we still grapple with the aftermath of the pandemic, the increasingly complex reality of Brexit, the Ukraine issue, soaring inflation, it's all too easy to lose sight of the value of your own business. Now, I'm sure we've all lost sleep over the last few years wondering, will I be able to retain or hire staff that I need to execute my business strategy? Will my supply chain become more secure? Or is this current disruption just the new reality now? Will I be able to afford to even sell into Europe post-Brexit? I know a lot of people have just given up. If not, where else can I sell my produce or my services? And, is my business still valid amid all of this change in the world? Now, the number of key decisions, concerns, challenges that a business leader faces presently is probably, unprecedented, said a lot, but it probably rings true at the minute. But amid all the noise, there's a temptation to lose sight of the one fundamental measure of business performance that trumps all the others, and that's its overall value. The overall value of your business. Like an MOT on your car or that visit to the doctors that we all have to go through once we get that certain vintage. An annual valuation is just something that every company should perform, either themselves or outsource to a company like Plimsoll. Now, it's the ultimate measure of performance. And as a key stakeholder in your own business, a rise in valuation demonstrates to you and your colleagues that you're most probably hitting your current KPI targets, you're hitting your goals, you've control of the costs and the outgoings of your business, you're able to operate a lean business, your decisions are adding value to the overall business, and your strategic plans are actually working. The inverse of this is true, of course, but the sentiment remains the same. A valuation encapsulates sales, profits, productivity, and all those other KPIs into one succinct measure. If your value is going down, how do you fix it? What are the immediate and longer term decisions that need to be made? None of that can be addressed without a snapshot of your current position, and evaluation represents that. It crystallizes that current position. So one of the key questions we get asked at Plimsoll all the time is, why would I want a valuation if I'm not selling my business? And as those words are spoken, the sentiment is almost always true. But in 2023, it's completely parochial, that stance. And it betrays an inflexibility of thinking. Maintaining an annual business valuation is critical for all businesses, whether they're in their succession plans or whether they're just planning for what comes next as part of their strategy. Maintaining a valuation of your business allows you to assess your overall performance and the trend in your value. It allows you to benchmark yourself against similar rivals. It allows you to maintain a valuation so that if a rival makes an approach, you're prepared. It allows you to prepare a 5, 10, or even 20-year succession plan. It lets you prepare for any share disputes or even divorce proceedings, unfortunately. But ultimately, it allows you to build a better business. So with all that in mind, we've produced today's webinar to help you, the leaders of business, to take 15, 20 minutes to think about how to protect your company's value in 2023 and beyond. Think of it as like a quick session to work on your business, not in it. So to that end, we've developed a 6-step process that will help you to increase the value of your business. Step 1. Get a current value, monitor the trend, and identify the value traps. To use the old adage, how do you know where you're going if you don't know where you're starting from or where you've been previously? Now, of course, that's a cliche, but it's one that holds true for any board that's determined to add value to their business year on year. The first part of this initial benchmarking step is to find out how much your business is currently worth. Now, you could do that yourself, of course. Just find an algorithm that you think best suits your business and spend time wading through your financials and working out which bit goes where. Alternatively, you could go to one of the many We Can Sell Your Business agents that will offer a free valuation of part of their attraction marketing campaigns. However, as the leading provider of independent valuations, we, of course, here at Plimsoll always recommend you use us, of course. We can deliver a fuss-free valuation in 72 hours, and we can lay out how much your business is worth, do that fairly instantly, and leave you free to get on with the day-to-day. Now, whichever option you choose, you now have a benchmark of what your business is currently worth. Now you need to look at the trend in that value. Is it going up? Is it going down? Have there been changes or strategy decisions made that you would have expected to impact short-term value for a long-term benefit? You made big investments that have not yet come to fruition. If you've used Plimsoll to value your business, you'll already have a valuation for each of the preceding 4 years, and the trend plotted in a series of easy-to-use and digest and shareable charts. Now, if you calculated it yourself, you need to go back through the last 4 years and do the same exercise 4 times over. And if you use a free service, of course, I'm not sure what to suggest there, but it's critically important that you have that trend so you can see where your value is headed. So once you have your value trend, you can then reflect on the reality behind those trend charts. Did something happen 3 years ago that led to a spike in your value or a fall? Have the COVID-19 years had a depressing effect on your value? And are you now starting to see it bounce back strongly? If there's been a sharp fall in the last year or two, what actions have you taken to address that slide? If post-pandemic your value has bounced back, how sustainable is that? Now, the final element of step 1 is to identify any obvious value traps in your business. Are there any easy wins or obvious financial adjustments that would offer immediate increases in your business value? Obvious things like keeping cash sat on a balance sheet while high interest payments on debt are draining profit margins, or keeping too much stock in your business. Tweaks like that could set the company back to value growth, getting your company back to profit and much leaner. So Plimsoll also provides a future year in our value model that details those little adjustments that can make outsized improvements to your business value. So to summarise, step 1 of protecting your value is comprised of 3 elements. Number 1, set a value benchmark. Number 2, understand the trend in the value of your business. And number 3, spot the easy wins and make the small adjustments for immediate gains. Step 2, analyse your human resources. COVID-19 brought with it a unique opportunity to reassess which business units delivered profit, how many human resources you really needed, and it allowed you to recalibrate your business. Now that Brexit has been enacted, the pendulum has swung sharply the other way, and for many, sourcing staff has become a real challenge. An annual reassessment of your human resources, particularly with the overall valuation of your business in mind, is just good housekeeping. For most businesses, the human costs are often the largest cost, and any subtle adjustments can lead to an increase in returns that translate into a high valuation. Focusing people on the most added value activities within your business is a simple way to increase profits and with it valuation. So it's imperative to assess the mission critical part of your business annually to decide how much of your profit and overall value is tied up in wages and other HR costs. How many humans you really need within your business to achieve your strategic goals. What sales per employee are you generating and how does that compare to your peers? How many people you are short of to achieve your future sales targets? And how investments in automation and technology could complement or even replace human roles to enhance your productivity for the next decade or more. Humans are, of course, the lifeblood that courses through any business. However, while they keep a business operational, we should remain wedded to our principles as leaders that people remain the biggest single drain on the overall value of the business. So achieving that balance is key, and in 2023, probably more than ever. Now, at Plimsoll, we can provide you with an instant assessment of whether you're balancing your operational needs with the maintenance of your business value. Using a series of charts and written summaries, we can show you how your productivity is adding to your value or conversely, diminishing it. Now, we can even show you how your value and its trend compares to your peers, so you can see how they're achieving. You see the KPIs for productivity that they're achieving. Now, this step is perhaps the most sensitive, but it's crucial if you're serious about maintaining the valuation of your business. So, to summarise this step, there are 3 steps. Number 1, you need to understand your productivity performance both now and over a 5-year time period. You need to compare your productivity to your peers. Are you outperforming or being left behind? And you need to identify where you can make cuts without jeopardising operational ability, and then properly scope any future plans and how many people you're likely to need. Step 3, compare yourself to similar businesses. Once you have a current value, clear sight of whether that value is going up or down and how you can consolidate that value with a few simple tweaks, step 3 allows you to put some context around the simple numbers. Benchmarking any performance metric is only as good as the comparison used. Now, there are a number of comparisons you can use, such as changes in value across your market, changes by region, or comparison against 4, 5, 10 key rivals. Now at Plimsoll, we recommend benchmarking your performance against at least 5 of your closest, your most important, your most like-for-like competitors. They'll generally be of similar size to you. They'll be operating in same or similar markets as you. So they're operating under the same conditions. So they're the best possible benchmark because everything that affects you affects them equally. Now, the reason to compare your own valuation performance to your peers are fairly simple. It allows you to measure, is your valuation performance better or worse than similar businesses? Have others found a recipe for valuation increases that you could replicate? And are there mistakes that others are making that you could avoid? Generating a valuation of 5 to 10 other companies to provide you with a focused benchmark, now that's a tough ask. It's very time consuming. You've got to wade through 5 years of financial data on 10 companies. That's an awful lot of numbers to get through. You need to source that data, build a valuation, do the analysis, digest the findings, present that in a way that you and others can make decisions based on. However, at Plimsoll, we can provide you with a complimentary 5-year valuation assessment of 5 companies of your choice if you go ahead and get your company valued by Plimsoll. So you'll be able simply to see how you compare to your peers over a 5-year trend period. So in summary of step 3, protecting your value, it relies on a solid benchmarking of your current performance so that you can put your valuation performance into clear context. You can learn from the valuation and the performance of others, and you can implement a valuation improvement plan that's based on evidence, that's based on research. Step 4, assess current markets and explore better alternatives. One of the main value traps companies fell into time and again over a long period of time is having too many dependencies within their business model. They got lost in the day-to-day of doing what they've always done, and then something happened to cap off that core market, key supplier, those sorts of things. So one of the key lessons we've seen over the last few years has been depending on too narrow a market sector can be totally detrimental to your business and its longevity. In fact, not only detrimental to its value, but even its long-term viability. Looking back over the last 2, 3, 4 years, how many businesses do you know that collapsed because their market ceased to operate during the pandemic? They were often exposed to a narrow customer set, and when lockdowns hit, they were just completely left high and dry with no market. Everything was shuttered. So even with all the pandemic restrictions thankfully becoming a distant memory, fingers crossed, we've seen companies that relied heavily on unfettered access to the single market starting to flounder. How do you retain value in your business if you're one of the tens of thousands, probably more, of companies that have simply given up on selling into the EU as a direct result of Brexit? Even those that have managed to retain business through Brexit and the pandemic I found often that the cost of business rising exponentially as inflation and input costs sometimes makes their business, their supply chain, their production lines completely economically unviable. So all of these examples show how exposure to too narrow an audience or too narrow a supply chain or anything within a dependency that's too narrow can severely impact the value of your business. But how do you negate those dependencies? The steps to address over-dependency are fairly simple, but without the right insight can be wholly perilous. If you're going to diversify to negate a key market dependency, for example, you need to identify the right markets to pivot towards. What's the point in pivoting towards another market that's equally fragile as the one that you currently serve? You need to understand the key players within that market. Is there an overly dominant large player that acts as a barrier to success in that market? You need to build a list of potential new markets and decide the best possible option for your business and the returns it can offer, so you can focus your strategy down on conquering one market rather than spreading yourself too thin over 3 or 4 and achieving nothing. And then you need to decide if you would be better looking at moving to a new territory rather than a new market. If you've got a core competency, would you be better looking overseas for stability and taking what you do well into a new country rather than a new market? So moving into any new region or market requires as much insight as possible across a range of choices. As a busy decision maker, you need all your options laid out in front of you. You don't have time to produce this sort of analysis. If you, like most people, you need to focus on making the best possible decisions, not gathering the evidence, and then get on with the implementation process. So Plimsoll provides a host of industry studies and bespoke intelligence products that remove all of the manual work analysing markets and leave you with free time to act. So to summarise step 4, neutralising your dependencies in your business will ensure you've got stability. The PE ratio used to calculate your overall value is a reflection of how long a business can keep producing the results it has over recent times. The more stable a business, the more demonstrably stable, the higher the PE is justified and can be achieved. Now, you've got to be honest about, to summarise that, to get the highest possible PE, is 3 basic steps. Be honest about the markets you serve and the state of play in those markets. Identify other industries that you could pivot towards easily and those that would require new expertise. And then understanding the competitive landscape in new markets and territories. And then probably making a decision. Do you buy an existing company that's within those markets, or do you set up a brand new one based on your expertise? Step 5, bridge the gap between current and future value. The PE multiplier using any valuation, as I mentioned earlier, is a reflection of how many years people believe that the company can continue its current performance. At the top of the corporate tree, it's also an investment in the belief that things will get much bigger, much more expansive in the future. That's the reason behind some of the eye-watering valuations we've seen on some of the world's most exciting companies. But outside of your Teslas and your Amazons is a more realistic world where companies strive and thrive on much more modest means. The PE ratio used is more modest to reflect the challenges that small businesses without access to as much resource and external finances face. However, a lesson that SMEs can learn from the largest companies is that ability to bridge the gap between current and future value. Now, Tesla is the world's most valuable car brand, not because it produces the most vehicles or the most expensive vehicles, or arguably even the best electric vehicles. It's the most valuable because because Tesla are able to bridge the gap between the current and future value. Their valuation is so high because investors and customers buy into the future of the business and what they think it's going to be rather than what they think it is now. Now, as SME leaders, there are a number of steps that you can take to bridge the gap from what your company is currently worth and what it could be worth in the future. All business valuations only ever become real at the point of sale, and in the meantime are entirely subjective. However, there are 3 distinct steps that will help you bridge your value gap and maintain a future number and not just a measure of here and now. And those are, number 1, maintaining an acquisition shopping list. Now, you might say, I've no immediate thoughts for acquisition. However, keeping a list of off-the-peg targets you could acquire actually adds immediate value to your business. A business valued at 5 million with a shopping list of 10 potential £1 million deals that could be done quickly would be much more able to bridge the gap were somebody to come in and buy it. Number 2 is keeping a firm grip on profit margins. It goes without saying, but having a demonstrable history of profit not only adds to the perception of value in a business, but also shows that it's not been artificially pumped for sale. Profitability is, of course, it will always remain the biggest factor in determining the value of a business. And then number 3, identifying your opportunities. Every industry has auxiliary or related markets that companies could look to expand into fairly quickly. Being able to present opportunities as part of your business plan is key to bridging the gap between your current and future value with any prospective buyers. So ultimately, an achieved business valuation is an agreement between a buyer and a seller. You may have no intention of selling your business, none at all. However, if the last few years have shown us anything, it's the situations change, sometimes completely, often rapidly, and entirely unseen. You've no idea when somebody will make an offer for your business or when your personal circumstances might change your resolve to not be selling. Now, monitoring and protecting your business value on an ongoing basis is a key responsibility for all senior stakeholders. It guarantees a higher value for your business. Now, Plimsoll understands that analysing something you may not act on in the near term, it's too easy to overlook. That's why we offer a range of simple valuation, acquisition and market monitoring tools that remove all of that hassle of doing it for yourself. Provide instant insight that let you monitor your own strategic options without disrupting your business day to day, the work that puts food on the table. Now, this final step is key to ensuring that whatever happens to you and your business, whatever unexpected changes before you or your business, your value is protected by, number 1, showing not just what it's worth, but what it could be worth, maintaining your profitability, which remains the key driver of your business value, and highlighting how big your company could be with a few choice acquisitions and which targets would best fit. So those are the 5 steps you need to protect the value of your business and even maximise it, regardless of what's happening externally. Valuing your company as a one-off strategic review exercise is a start. It's a line in the sand. However, great companies maintain their value analysis year after year. They nurture it, search for ways to enhance it, think strategically about what might affect it, and build their business thinking around it. Plimsoll helps those companies make the process instant and cost-effective. As a final thought, I'll leave you with this thought. Most of the companies that get bought never had selling up in their strategic thinking. Some will, but in most cases, another company approached them, made an offer, and a deal was done. Now, imagine how much better that scenario would have been for your business if you fell into it, if that comes up in the future. If you can show potential suitors, here's what my business is worth now. Here's what it was worth in the preceding 3 or 4 years. Here's my record of profitability and growth. Here are 5 companies we or you could add to our group to create additional value. And here are the industries we could pivot towards and the impact that would have. Now, that sounds like a much better conversation with offer and counter-offer based on 2 diametrically opposed starting points. And even if that doesn't come up, to have that level of intelligence
in your arsenal as a business, as a decision-making executive, it is key to showing you that the decisions you are making are adding value to your overall business group. So I'd like to show you a very brief video now showing how Plimsoll can help you with the first steps on this journey. So that's the end of another Plimsoll webinar, and I'd like to thank you for attending. All attendees will get a free copy of our latest white paper covering some of the topics that we've covered here today. And in the meantime, if you'd like to discuss any of the stuff that we've covered off today in this webinar, or find out a little bit more about how Plimsoll can help you value your business, how we can help you maintain it and understand markets, or find acquisitions, or any of the other topics that we've discussed today, just give us a call, 01642 626 400, or visit us at plimsoll.co.uk, or even follow us on our social channels. But in the meantime, thank you for attending today, guys, and good luck.